Well, ladies and gentlemen, we have news just in that India is trying to divert the world's attention from Kashmir. And India is reportedly trying to stage a fake operation in their side of the line of control to divert the world's attention from the atrocities in occupied Kashmir and suppress opposing voices from across the world. Highly placed diplomatic sources said the Indian army has prepared a mock post with Pakistani flags to conduct a staged encounter with the Pakistani army. For more on this, we are joined by Ijaz Heather. He is a senior analyst. So there are reports that the Indian army is planning a fake activity in their side of the line of control to divert the world's attention from atrocities in occupied Kashmir. What's your say on this, sir?
Okay, so there are two levels of analysis here. One is that if you recall what the Prime Minister said in the National Assembly with reference to false flag operations, and that was something that was also said by the Foreign Minister when he spoke with the diplomatic corps. So we are seized of that, and since we know that India has done false flag operations, we were absolutely right in informing the world community that that is a possibility. That is number one. Secondly, along the line of control, stage managing an attack to make it look like this was an attack that was done by Pakistan and therefore the Indian army is retaliated is also a clear and present danger. So this is the first level of analysis. Secondly, now that we know and we have information as per the report that you've just mentioned, what we need to do is to reach out to the world capitals to have all the satellite coordinates of our posts recorded and to have satellite imagery of where this particular mock post is being constructed, so that we have a case to present to the world community if this actually happens.
Right, sir. So China has opposed India's unilateral annexation of occupied Kashmir and has told New Delhi to avoid the provocation. So India's failure leads to such coward acts. Your comments on this?
Well, look, we have never accepted the instrument of accession or Article 370 or anything that flowed from Article 370. However, our concern with reference to what they've done in terms of annexing an occupied land has to do with the fact that this is a disputed territory and that India cannot unilaterally change the parameters of anything that relates to that disputed territory. This is in relation not only to the UN resolutions, but also in relation to the 1972 Shimla Agreement. That's one. Secondly, now that they've done this, there's been a communication lockdown in occupied and now annexed Kashmir. We really don't know, except for an odd report filtering out by the international media of exactly what is happening there, how many people are protesting, how many people are being, killed or maimed or blinded, something that has been going on for the last 5 years. So these are acts that obviously we have the right as a party to that dispute to present to the world. And I think that's what the government is doing right now.
And so do you think India is looking for a full-scale escalation with Pakistan?
Well, last time they tried to do that, it didn't go very far. If they want to try it once again, as far as the ground forces are concerned on our side, they're ready. As you know, along the line of control, it's both the armies that are in direct contact already, unlike the international border, where they have the BSF on that side and we have the Rangers on this side. Along the line of control and further up north, it's military forces facing each other directly. As far as the Pakistan Air Force is concerned, they are ready. So if they want to escalate, then obviously we will be ready for that.
Right, so also all the international media outlets from the New York Times, British newspaper, the BBC, Canadian newspaper, Turkey's leading Al Jazeera, all have been reporting against the Indian oppression and the atrocities it is committing inside Kashmir. But India does not seem to care about all these reportings and obviously have not lifted the curfew and still moving on with the negativity and oppression and continuously conducting atrocities in occupied Kashmir. So.
Absolutely, this is Realpolitik, and one other example of this is Israel committing atrocities against the Palestinians. The Indian actions are straight out of the Israeli playbook, and India thinks that it can weather this. And our job, obviously, is to ensure that it doesn't weather this, and that we can actually get some kind of critical mass where increasing numbers of people's organizations, and I'm talking about intellectuals, I'm talking about the non-governmental organizations,
I'll have to cut you here. Sir, thank you very much for your time. Thank you for joining us, Sir Ijaz Haider, who's senior analyst. Now, just reminding to our viewers who've just tuned in, India is trying to divert the world's attention from Kashmir. And India is reportedly trying to stage a fake operation in their side of the line of control to divert the world's attention from atrocities in occupied Kashmir and suppress the opposing voices from across the world. Now, highly placed diplomatic sources said the Indian army has prepared a mock post with Pakistani flags to conduct a staged encounter with the Pakistan army and then project it. So we now have to talk more on this. We have Lieutenant General with us. So India is trying to divert the world's attention once again and reportedly trying to stage a fake operation like they always do. So this time, what sort of a response are we looking at?
One thing which is, I think, heartening is that Pakistan was able to detect this plan well in time. The second thing which is critical now is to link all that India has been doing in the past as well, starting with 70 Ganga operation, and there's a long list of India trying to befool the world and the world firing to Indian this kind of a deception plan. So all this has to be linked, and the world must be made to understand that our Prime Minister and our Chief Army Staff have been saying that once, not only once, but many times, that this is what India is trying to do, divert the attention of its black deeds against Muslims within India, and more recently in Kashmir. They want to divert the world's attention because progressively the world is coming to realize what has happened in this region and where it could lead to. So therefore, it's important that Pakistan takes this internationally and makes them aware. Also, that Pakistan remains alert that this could happen in another way also, like Pulwama happened.
Right, sir. So you do...
Not...
Right, please continue.
Therefore, it's very, very important. I mean, why I'm saying that time and again is that because if you go back to Mumbai, all that happened, Pakistan was blamed even before people knew exactly what has happened in Mumbai. So therefore, keeping that at the back of his mind, Pakistan has to get to the world and make them aware. And also, because something more like this would be going on in Indian, various areas in India. I know that Eastern India is in the grip of extreme kind of a terrorism. That is not being reported. Tomorrow, that could also be made as Pakistan's responsibility. Nagaland, recently, I think they almost announced themselves to be an independent state. They have their own anthem. And this could also be. So Pakistan, already because this kind of a baggage has there Pakistan's, unfortunately, Pakistan's history. So Pakistan has to be very, very proactive.
Right, sir. So do you think there's a shift in policy over the Indian side? Because last time India conducted fake strikes into Pakistan, the fake news was spread all over, and the international media covered those sites when our army took those international media outlets in Pakistan, and they showed those sites that India claimed to have targeted. So this time India has obviously banned all the communications and the media activity in occupied Kashmir. So do you think there's a policy shift in India? And obviously, this time, if they're trying to stage something, they'll put their narrative over?
No, not really the shift. It's a part of our plan. The idea is to take the world's attention off all the misdeeds that India is doing in Kashmir against Muslims and within India and other trouble spots in India, to shift all towards this line of control and Pakistan. Only then I think their plan would succeed, because if the world starts castigating Pakistan for having done this kind of a thing, that is when Pakistan's just and moral stance about Kashmir and about the rest of the area, that is when it's likely to get hurt. Right now, Pakistan has a high moral ground. Pakistan is going about a diplomatic offensive with all the truth and all the reality, and also whatever analysis Pakistan has done, that our Prime Minister has done, our Chief Army Staff has done. So Pakistan is going about its job methodically for the very first time, I think, after a long time. And this is an effort that India doesn't like, because if Pakistan wins over, right now I can understand that there are very few people who are standing with Pakistan. But as Pakistan takes its diplomatic offensive to next level, that is when India is going to start hurting. So that is how India must be seen by the world for what it is, not a secular state, but a fascist, Brahman, Zionism mindset that is ruling India. So that is the mindset that Pakistan must convey to the world, show to the world, and that is where India is weak, and that is where India is trying to hurt Pakistan.
Right, so the international media is already slamming India's policy in occupied Kashmir, and now India is reportedly trying to stage a fake operations. So how do you think the international media is going to cover this?
Oh, international media is going to have a field day. You remember last time there was a so-called surgical strike when Modi Sahab went to United States. Somebody asked him a good question. When Modi said that we returned the dead bodies to Pakistan, so somebody reminded him that, Mr. Modi, you are supposed to have gone into Pakistan. Pakistan didn't cross over to your side. So that is where the entire plan fell flat, and the Indian plan and Indian all the shenanigans were brought to light. So I think Pakistan must continue and up the ante in this field, and because international media, particularly the print media, also quite a bit of electronic media, and also active youngsters on social media are actually getting the message across. This must be built upon and must be increased in tempo.
Right, so it's also the media, it takes the media to build up a policy and a narrative. So do you think India will be able to divert the attention, the world attention, from this fake strike, or will it be strengthen our stance, our policies further?
Truth has a way of coming up, and the right of self-determination is something that has been accepted by United Nations, and as recently as 1982, there was the United Nations protocol on the subject. It went on to say that the people can go to any extent to demand and get the right of self-determination. And it went on to add that if they were to be helped with arms, and that would also be justified. So Pakistan has the high moral ground, has truth on its side, and that is what should give strength to Pakistan. And that is where India is weak. That is where India must be hit. That is where the international media and the international community will come around to see Pakistan's viewpoint.
Right, so we've also heard voices within India rising about the occupied Kashmir situation currently. So do you think voices will rise after, for example, if India conducts this fake operation?
I think that is a very, very real possibility, because like our Prime Minister and like our chief and like I think most of these people who understand these things have warned the world that India could go to the next level of creating tension and taking the tensions at that level where the whole world will start, trying to penalize Pakistan and trying to intervene and to, in a way that strengthens India's stance. So there is a possibility. Pakistan has to be alert, and our people have to be alert. And more importantly, our leadership must take the nation into confidence and take the nation along with whatever Pakistan is doing.
Right, sir. We've seen Trump's mediation offer when Prime Minister Imran Khan met him at the Oval Office, and obviously now that India is planning a fake activity. So how do you think the international media or the international countries will be commenting over this or reaction over this?
I mean, maybe I'm a pessimist, but I recall 1962 when China and India were at loggerheads. Pakistan had a golden opportunity to wrest Kashmir away from India militarily. The Americans jumped in and they told Pakistan to refrain from such action militarily, and also they offered to mediate and get the talks going to get this problem solved. At that time, Zulkarnain Bhutto was the foreign minister and Sardar Swaran Singh, foreign minister from Indian side. They both had 6 rounds of lengthy talks spread over years, but nothing came of it. Pakistan has to be very mindful that when somebody comes in to mediate, that somebody must have the very clear idea of what is happening, and Pakistan must have a guarantee that the Kashmiris' right of self-determination and the truth that Pakistan is standing for, that is recognized, and that is where the UN resolution must be implemented. Not only that mediate to just stop hostilities, just to put Pakistan down on the back foot, just to kind of give a false sense of security to Pakistan. Pakistan must not fall for it. This kind of mediation offered.
Right, so thank you very much for joining us at Indus News. You are Lieutenant General Ghulam Mustafa, senior analyst. And India basically is trying to divert the world's attention once again from Kashmir by plotting a fake operation in their side of the line of control to divert the world's attentions from the atrocities in occupied Kashmir and suppress opposing voices from across the world. Breaking news, highly placed diplomatic sources said the Indian Army has prepared a mock post with Pakistani flags to conduct a staged encounter with the Pakistan Army and then project it on the media as an operation from across the line of control or the line of actual control. India is facing world's condemnation of its illegal annexation of occupied Kashmir and revocation of its special status. We will keep you updated on this story as new developments come. But for now, that's all for now. For more news and updates, stay tuned with Indus News.